welcome back everyone. It's good to have you back. It's been a while since I've posted anything, but I wanted to get back on here and show you some interesting stuff. As you know, we've got a couple videos of our 2002 Honda CR-V. I'm going to do a multi-episodes where we're going to turn this thing into something of beauty. As you can see, it's been well maintained, but it still shows its wear. No real upgrades have been made, but I believe we are going to do some upgrades. We're going to upgrade the wheels, we're going to lift it, put a luggage rack on the top, maybe some bars on the front, and this time we're going to have the help of my son, and so you'll be seeing and hearing him as we do this adventure together. But hopefully you find it interesting and maybe learn something along with us. But as you can see, 2002 Honda CR-V, it's going to be a nice project. Can't wait to see what it looks like when it's finished. So on our first episode, we're going to show on our 2002 Honda CR-V how to upgrade your wheels. As you can see, our existing one has stock wheels, and so I'm going to have my son describe to you what our existing wheels are and what we're going to do to upgrade them.
So our stock sizes are a 15 by 6 inch wheel. That's a 15 inch watt tall or wide. And then the width of the actual wheel is 6 inches. And so we also have the stock size tires on there, which is a 205 70/15. But we want to upgrade that because we're going to end up lifting this CR-V. So basically the first thing we got to do in order to do that is to space out the wheel more. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put spacers onto that. So these are the spacers we ordered from eBay. We have to make sure that we had to make sure that we got the right bolt pattern. The bolt pattern for all CR-Vs, not just this generation, but all CR-Vs, is a 5 by 114.3. But you can see that also measured in inches. That's a 5 by 4.5, and so that's 5 lugs. And then the 4.5 is the circle that the lugs are centered around. So they're evenly distributed around the 4.5 inch circle. And so that's how they measure that. And then you have a 64.1, and that's the diameter of the inner bore, so that it can slip over your hub on the wheel. And so the last part is 20 millimeters, and that's just the thickness of it. And obviously that depends on what type of wheels you're getting. For us, it would technically, the wheels that we're getting are already going to space it out more, because we are getting a 15 by 7 -6 offset. And so what that means is going to space out a lot compared to these, which are a positive 50 offset or a 45 offset, positive 45 offset on those. And so basically it's going to be around 50 millimeters of space outward. So
like, you know, I'm not as technical as you, because you know you work at Discount Tire,
yeah,
and you're an expert on tires, and for some of you tire gurus, you're loving this. But basically that offset stuff and the camber and all that, what are we doing for layman's terms?
So basically we're spacing the wheel out more.
So the wheels are going to come out towards us more.
Yeah.
And are we changing the angle at all?
We aren't. We do eventually, once we lift it, we will have to put camber bolts just to adjust it, because when you change the geometry, it's going to change it up. But for right now, all we need to worry about is making sure that the wheels won't hit the calipers on there, and then that's basically the first step.
Okay. Well, we'll put the description of the parts we use in the comments below, along with the wheels and the hardware. So let's get to it.
So the first thing we have to do is to jack up the car. You can jack it from the front lift point, as you can see in the front, or you can also jack it from the pinch weld down here. I just jacked it from the front since we're gonna do both fronts, and it's faster that way. But the first thing we have to do after that is take off the wheel. So I'll go ahead and do that now. This is a 19mm socket as well, so let's just keep that in mind.
So why don't you describe to them why we had to put spacers on?
So, as you can see on the stock wheel, it clears because it was designed to clear. However, on the newer wheels we are getting, essentially what happens is this doesn't come in as quickly as it does on this wheel. It slowly curves in, so it's essentially gonna hit this caliper whenever you try to bolt it up. And I have a picture of
Without a spacer, it would hit the caliper.
Yeah.
On the new rims that we're getting.
And I have a picture of it hitting. I tried to fit up some wheels at work around the same size to just see if they would fit. And because of that caliper issue, it wouldn't bolt up, so I wasn't able to test fit it as like I wanted to. But that's why we need spacers. So spacers will fix that problem, and so that's why we're doing that. So once we have the wheel off, we want to make sure that our spacer fits. And so the first thing we do is obviously put it up on there. The reason why we wanted that to make sure it fits is that if you get the wrong center bore, it's going to cause a lot of vibrations. If it's too wide, it's not gonna be centered on the center bore right here. And if it's too small, obviously it's not going to go up on there. So we don't want to have either of those problems.
Are the studs too long though? Are the wheel going to go on with the original studs?
And so that's the next part we have to check. You have to, I guess we're going to put one on there real quick. Try not to use impacts on spacers, just because it does put a lot of pressure on the factory studs. And so that's why you don't really want to use impacts to bolt these up.
So right now we're just testing.
But if you see, I'm going to try to put it all the way flat up against it, right?
And it won't.
And you could see a little space between the you can see the
rim
the
and
stud.
the spacer. It's because the original studs are a little too long. How many threads do you think we got to cut off?
So it looks like we probably we want it flush with the spacer, and so if you look, it's probably around 3 or 4 studs or threads. So that's what we're gonna trim. So we'll mark that and then trim it off, and then we should be fine if bolt this up on there.
All right, so we're gonna just mark where to cut the threads and shorten the original studs. We're just marking it flush with the front of the spacer. So we're marking them. So we marked the studs. We're basically going to take off 4 threads of each stud. Now, before you cut them off, you need to put the bolts on so that after you cut,
You can chase the burrs on the threads out.
yeah, so when you're done cutting, when you back off the nut, it'll retool the threads. All right, so we've already cut one of the studs, and you can see it turned out pretty nice. Basically, like I said, we're cutting off about 4 threads, and it retooled the threads when you back the nut off. So let me go ahead and start cutting the next one. Good. Let's do the rest of them. All right. So what are you gonna do to the?
So following the spacers set the instructions, we want to make sure that we clean the surface of the wherever the spacer is mounting to. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we clean the hub, so right here, and as well as making sure that we clean the back of the wheel where the spacer is going to mount to. Now we'll take our spacer, make sure that it clears all the lugs that we cut, clear the outside, the face of the spacer, and then we'll put all our lugs on. So I guess again, you want to make sure that we refrain from using impacts on the spacers. Main nuts, just because they are thinner, they're designed for so it doesn't hit the back of the wheel, so they're designed smaller, and so that also means that they're not as strong. They might not be as strong as the stock lugs. And so,
is there a torque you put on those at all?
You just want to use the same torque as the typical. So for this vehicle, it'll be 80 foot-pounds.
80 foot-pounds.
Hondas are typically 80.
So here we are on the other side doing the same thing. We've already got the old studs cut. Now we're putting the spacer on, cleaning the rotor and wheel, and putting the tire back on. And we'll do that to the back. So on the back, we found it's a little bit different because of the rotor drum, because of the emergency brakes. It's a little bit thicker. So when we put the spacer on, we realized we don't need to cut 4 threads. We only need to cut 2 threads because it's out farther. So just letting you know that to only cut 2 threads off on the back. Got the last wheel on. Now all 4 spacers are on. We'll put it down and wait for our new rims to come in. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get the lift put on. We're going to put a 3-inch lift so that the new wheels and tires fit once they come in. So for now, that's good for this episode. Thanks for watching. Check out our next one on the lifting of this CRV, this beautiful CRV.